All right, so this is Coach Approach with Alec Palumbo, and
Mike Smookler.
yeah, welcome. This is episode 2, and almost a new year. You got any New Year's resolutions or what?
Isn't every year the year to get in shape and work out? 4 days a week plus. So yeah, I'm gonna keep that resolution that I've been keeping for the last, or at least talking about for the last 5 years or so.
Yeah.
It doesn't get easier when you get older. You'll see. It'll be fine.
Nah, but you've always been kind of around the same area, I think, since like 2017 or so.
I try.
Wrong? You lost like 15 pounds.
I go up and down. It is what it is. And we had to watch the Michigan game, which, well, I guess that kind of takes us into our guests in a little bit. But my sister went to Michigan, and so she never watched football growing up. My dad and I are always watching football. Missy she doesn't want to come watch. But now she goes to Michigan. She watches every game. Whenever she visits, we have to go to a Michigan bar. We went out in Hoboken, and everyone's ringing the bell and doing everything. This year we went to Morristown, the Grasshopper in Morristown. Grasshopper in the Green? Grasshopper in the Green.
Oh, okay.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
But the Ohio State, Michigan, it was a great game if you saw it. But
I did not.
pretty
No,
intense.
I did actually. Yeah, a little bit of it.
My mother even stayed awake for the whole game.
Wow.
She goes, that was a good game.
Nice.
So, yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Well, we have a Western Michigan University alumni here, Les Smith, probably the most credible coach I know, probably the most credible coach you know.
He ranks up there for sure.
Yeah, has coached 50 plus, I want to say, D1 kids to scholarships in tennis. Probably more honestly. A former D1 starter himself, a high performance pro, and a pro from West Orange Tennis Club. Les, thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Good having you.
So yeah, Les, how's everything going?
Everything's great, man. Everything's great. Can't complain. Business is good. Busy is good.
Yeah, nice. So were you able to wind down for Thanksgiving, to take a couple of days? Because you're like one of the busiest pros I know.
Yeah. My sister and I actually went out and hit. She played at Western too, so we went out and hit a couple of days while I was there.
Oh, sweet.
But it was nice to actually just hit instead of, coach somebody. Just to get out there and get a little exercise, try to work the turkey off.
Nice. So when did you first have a racket in your hand?
I was probably 8 or 9 years old. And ironically, I didn't even want to play. Nobody in the neighborhood was playing, so I really didn't want to play. It was a big basketball, football neighborhood. So my dad got the idea because they started like a NJTL clinic up at the local high school. And, he wanted to get everybody involved. So my sister, my mom, my dad, and I was kind of like the last one to get on board, ironically. So 1 day a week for the clinic turned into 3 days a week, turned into 6 days a week, turned into 7 days a week.
Well, how did that happen? How did that turn into it? Like, you start 1 day a week. Was there something you felt, or a lesson that all of a sudden you felt?
Well, you know what it was? It was obviously you start getting into it. And my dad actually worked at General Motors, and Mal Washington's dad worked at General Motors. And so I don't know if they got talking or what, but he basically alluded to the fact that we weren't playing enough. And if you're gonna really be serious about it, you're gonna have to play more, and you can't just get out there and rally. You need to get the reps in. You need to get a big basket of balls and feed and make sure that they can hit forehands and hit backhands and go cross and go line. And a lot of the stuff that I do on court now is stuff that I did when I was a kid, and watching Mal Washington train. He's 3 years older than me, but we literally trained in the same club. So
You guys ever battle? You ever have any battles? No.
Never. I wasn't ready to take on that smoke.
Yeah. Yeah, right, exactly.
Wow. And then so you're playing in high school. At what point do you realize, okay, maybe I could go to college for this?
You know what? I was playing other sports until I was probably 13, 14.
What sports? What else were you playing?
I was playing baseball. I was playing basketball. I was playing football. I was playing, but I was always still playing tennis. So
Where'd you fit in your homework?
yeah,
That was my challenge growing up.
honestly, I was somebody who never missed school. I I don't pretend, and I tell the kids that I coach now, I'm not going to be a hypocrite like I was getting straight A's or doing whatever. I always did my work. I know for a fact that I was in school. I wasn't killing myself studying or anything. And I still was getting decent grades. Even in college, my freshman year in college, I wasn't killing myself studying. I would go to the party on Thursday night and had a test on Friday and get a C.
They call it Thirsty Thursday also?
Yeah, I don't remember what they called it, but, Thursday nights were big in college back at Western. And you go out on Thursday night. I might have a test on Friday. I get a C on the test, but I didn't get a C because I couldn't do the work. I got a C because I didn't study. I just happened to be in class. So, I retained the average amount of material.
C's get degrees, baby.
How did you get recruited? Did you get recruited for Western?
I got recruited by a coach named Jack Vriedeveld recruited me, and he gave me an opportunity, which was life-changing.
So staying on the theme of being like a junior player, right? Somebody in the big tournament. I found this online. If you want to take a look at that. Have you seen that before? Yeah.
Yeah, that's my freshman year of
Let
college.
me see that one.
Take a look at this one. So
I was freshman year.
Freshman year. And what position did you start freshman year?
I was in the 6-7 spot freshman year.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. So I wasn't getting as much love as I did as I moved forward.
And so eventually you became the starter. You were the first singles for Western Michigan University.
So sophomore year, I was playing 3. My freshman year, we had a very old team. Most of those guys in that picture are juniors and seniors.
Mm-hmm.
If you're on your high school team and you go on to play Division I college tennis, you were probably the guy on your team, right? And that's in any sport.
Mm-hmm.
So you go from being the guy, and then you just suddenly become just one of the guys, And so, the first day of practice, I remember getting nailed playing doubles with one of the seniors on the team, and he said, you got to leave that cute stuff in junior tennis,
Mm-hmm.
and literally nailed me in the chest. And this was probably within the first half hour, first 40 minutes of practice.
What was your reaction right away when that happened? We're like, what's up? Or were you just like, I'm a freshman, I'll keep my mouth closed?
Nah, you know what? It wasn't even, I didn't take it personal.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't, he wasn't headhunting. It was
a brotherly tap?
Nah, it hurt.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It hurt, but
yeah.
But I didn't take offense to it. It wasn't like I was ready to fight. I didn't take it as a situation where he went out of his way to try to hit me, take me out or anything. It was a legitimate play. You're just used to that stuff working.
It happens.
We could do a whole show on his matches, and
dude,
one kid was throwing up the whole time. That was your match, right?
Yes, it was. I have to bring this up because I wanted to ask you about what it's like starting D1, but since we sidetracked a little bit, it was against our rival team. I had beat this kid at counties. I was third singles? Yeah, I was third because Dave was second. I was third singles. I beat this kid 4-2 in counties. Next thing I know, it's 6-2. He won the first set. 4-1 in the second set. And you sprint over to my court. You're like, dude, just slow this whole thing down. Make the next 2 games the longest thing he'll ever have to do. Next thing I know, I'm up 5-4.
Right.
He was just playing tighter. I think he knew since he already beat me that this is it.
I said that.
I think you said something.
That's good advice.
I don't know what you said, honestly.
Damn.
I think that was
I
pretty much what it was.
Sure.
Yeah. And so I'm playing this. I'm like, I don't want to lose to somebody I know I can beat. I'm just playing terrible today. Mm-hmm. I have set point at 5-4.
Right.
I get to the net because that's really what I started doing more. I was like, let me just pressure him, make him hit a winner. And then he hits a lob, lands right in the baseline. Deuce. Then he ends up winning the game 5-all. So I'm like, oh, fuck, I could have won that. Here we go. Anyways, tiebreaker time. Close tiebreaker. It's 5-all in the tiebreaker now. So I'm like, okay, it's either set point me or match point him.
I remember this match.
Dude, it was my family was there, his family was there. It was a decent turnout. And the next thing you know, he comes to the net now. So I'm like, okay, he beat me to it now. I give him a lob. He overheads it. I get it. I give him a second overhead. I give him a third overhead. I give him a fourth overhead. Man. He is now literally 3 inches from the net, probably. And I go, okay, it's going to be match point him. He goes for the overhead, shanks it. I don't even know where the ball went. It went bottom of the net to the right. I don't know how it was like one of those like, okay, somehow I won that point type of thing. 6'5" me. He ends up coming to the net. His approach shot goes 3 feet wide. I go, game. That's a set. Boom. He like collapses on the back of the court pretty much and I was like, I didn't even expect to win that set. So here we go.
Right.
He ends up vomiting in the back of the court. And I was like, I like heard it before I saw it. I was like, somebody throwing up, whatever. And so I hear it and I was like,
you got to explain how hot it was that day.
Oh, it was brutal conditions too.
Right.
It was pretty brutal. It was hot. It was a Friday. I think it was my 3rd or 4th match of the week. So I was kind of running on empty at that point, which might have been why we're not doing so hot. And then the 3rd set, I'm like, all right, it's even Steven. Here we go. I was up 3-2. It was still pretty competitive. And I had my first break point. It was 30-40. He double faults to make it 4-2 for me. And then I won 8 straight points. Ended up winning like 6-2 in the 3rd, I mean. And then we ended up winning the whole match 3-2. So that was just like, goes to show you that.
Not about you anymore.
It's always in it. Yeah, right?
It's all right.
What I'm trying to say is I should have played for Western Michigan. No.
There you go.
But since you were, I played first.
Well, can I just say something to that?
Yeah, please,
though?
yeah.
What's interesting, and we're all sports fans here, is that tennis is a lot like baseball. You know, the old saying, it's not over till it's over. I mean, tennis is a lot like that, too. No clock. Momentum can shift. One shot can
Never
change
run out of
everything.
time.
Yeah. It's and it's at every level, and this is what people don't realize. It's not just mental for the club player. It's mental for the pros, too. I mean, it's
100%.
You know, I worked with Vilas. I remember him telling people it's 99% mental.
I've seen some crazy episodes out there where looks like the match is over, 6-0, 5-0, 40 love.
Oh, Lord.
And then have a kid miss an easy ball and fall apart.
Holy cow.
Like literally. You know, I tell kids all the time, the games don't carry over. So you win the first set, and what usually happens, the psyche of the player, and normally, and most people across the board, you know, think like this. If you win the first set 6-0, and then let's say you're up 2-0 or 3-0 in the second, you think you have a bigger lead than you do if let's say the score was 7-6 and 3-0, but you don't. You know, whether you won the first set 6-0 or whether you won the first set 7-6, you don't have a bigger lead, right? The games don't carry over. So I tell kids all the time, you got to flush that out of your mind as far as what the score in the first set was. And you find yourself up 5-0, and then all of a sudden you're serving at 5-4. Do you think you're going to be more nervous if it was 1 set all, and then it was 1-1, 2-2, 3-3, and now you're serving for the match at 5-4?
Yeah.
You're going to be more nervous if you were up 5-0.
I had a kid one time in college. I was coaching him. I coached Linden State College, D3. And so it was weird. You have a couple guys on top that are good, and then the rest, you're almost teaching tennis. So I had this guy who played rugby, number 6. Wins the first set, 6-1. He's up 5-1 in the second. Next thing you know, 5-2, right? 5-3.
Oh.
And he's getting pissed off. It's 5-4 on the changeover. And now you got to know who you're coaching.
Yeah.
So I said to him, this is back in what year it was. I don't know what it was. But I said,
get ready to censor something.
I said to him, are you f***ing kidding me?
Right.
If you don't win this game, don't even talk to me after the match. And I walked away, and he won 40 love, match over. Just like that. But you got to know your play. As a kid on the team, if I talked to him like that, he'd probably start crying.
I had a girl one night, she's playing a match out in Long Island, and I was home. I wasn't watching the match. And she was playing a girl that she absolutely should beat. I knew the girl she was playing. And, you know, it was one of the smaller, you know, local tournaments. But it was kind of a tune-up before she was going to go play the Orange Bowl. The Orange Bowl is a big international tournament, and, you know, it's a pretty big deal. She qualified to play the tournament. And so she calls me up because they get a 10-minute break between first and second, between the second and third sets. And she calls me up, and she had saved match points. She lost the first set. She'd saved match points against a girl who she absolutely should have run through. You know,
Yeah.
I think in their previous match she'd won 2-1 or something. And so she thought when she got on the phone that I was going to be singing her praises because, you know, she'd saved match points and now she was getting ready to go play the third. So I gave her the other energy and I started yelling, "Are you kidding me? you match point down against her. If you don't win this match, forget about the Orange Bowl. There's no reason to go. There's absolutely no reason to go. If you can't beat her, there's no reason to go to the Orange Bowl. We're wasting our time going all the way to Florida. I hang up the phone. No exaggeration, probably 15 minutes later, I won the third set 6-0.
Mm-hmm.
But you knew your player.
I knew my player.
Yeah.
I knew my player.
Now, so when you're watching your students play a tournament, whether it be at the club or anywhere else, right? Are you thinking solely based on results? Like, are you thinking, like, I want to win this? Or are you thinking based on just show me something that you're basically doing what we're doing in the practice court? Do you know what I'm saying?
It totally depends.
Uh-huh.
You know, there's certain matches where I don't care how they win. I just want them to get through it and win.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if the kid is 10, I want to see that you're doing what we're working on. You know, take all the pressure off. I want to see that you're doing what we're working on. Are you stepping up and hitting the ball? If the kid is moonballing, are you taking it on the rise? Are you willing to take balls out of the air? Are you willing to come to the net? You know, I just want to see, are you developing? Are you doing things that we're working on? Did you use your slice backhand? Things like that. If a kid's 17 getting recruited, and we need some results, I'm thinking, geez, just win this match.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Like, how do you find, where in your career did you figure out, okay, you know what, this is going to be my niche. I mean, this is my thing. I mean, I really feel I can help kids develop their skills to get into a good college, and I have the connections to help them. I know the coaches. How does that all develop through your career?
Shortly, like when I was in college, I got a summer job, and at that point, I didn't know what I really wanted to do. I was in school. I had been in accounting. I knew I didn't really want to do that. I was bored to death with the econ classes and you know, and that kind of stuff. So I really wasn't sure what I wanted to do. And this was going into the summer of my freshman year. Obviously, that's still early, but I had no idea what I wanted to do. So
Yeah.
I wanted to get a job because at that point I had been out of the house, and my parents weren't crazy strict, but they were strict enough where I knew I was having more fun not living at home than I would if I was living at home. And I knew the only way not to go and have to live at home in the summer was to get a job that wasn't in Michigan. So I started looking through the want ads back in the day. I mean, some kids don't know what the want ads are because they just get on, you know, online now. Yeah. But magazines and stuff used to have
ads.
You know,
I think that's a date app or something like that.
Exactly. You know.
Yeah.
So they had
I know what the yellow pages are.
Exactly.
Does that count for something?
Yeah.
Actually, you're part of that generation.
Exactly. He is. He's part of that
know.
generation. He doesn't know. So
They
there
don't
used to
know
be
what,
these things called magazines.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And in the back of magazines, they used to have classified ads for jobs.
Okay.
Right. So Tennis Magazine used to run classifieds at the back. And
that sounds better than LinkedIn because I get freaking 3,000 emails from them, and I price like one that interests me is once every 3 weeks, maybe.
Yeah.
So I'll take the one ads.
So you go to the classifieds. I'm looking in the back of Tennis Magazine, and there was job listings for sleepaway camps. There was a job listing in the Pocono Mountains, which I knew nothing about, at a sleepaway camp. I'm gonna throw a plug to Bryn Mawr Camp because I got a good start there, and I owe a lot to a guy named Herb Cutson, who gave me a job, and Brad Finkelstein, who gave me jobs at Lake Bryn Mawr Camp to work at the camp. Almost didn't make it because I got into a car accident when I was driving out to the camp. And
from Michigan, you're in the mountains.
Just
straight.
But I left to go, you know, like probably 6 o'clock in the morning. So I'm like falling asleep at the wheel.
It's a long drive.
Yeah, it's a long drive, and end up going there. It was the best, worst job I ever had. It was at an all-girls camp. The money was terrible. The ratios were great. I think I was looking at my first contract, you know, not too long ago, and I made for the entire summer, which was 8 or 9 weeks, $800.
Oh my God.
Right? $800.
That'll get you
We're
groceries.
pretty similar
now.
in age, and that's terrible, man.
Terrible.
Even back then,
It was terrible.
What's the hourly on that? Like
Oh
like
man, the
3 dimes?
hourly was probably 20 cents as far as managing. I had a ton of responsibility for a 19-year-old. I was probably there. It was probably the first 3 or 4 days, and you're there a few days before the kids actually get there. And so the first 3 or 4 days, I'm there, and I remember him pulling me aside, and he said, don't find yourself, in any building or any room where the door is closed and, a kid is alone with you. I'm thinking, what is this guy talking about? Fast forward, probably 2 weeks. And remember, it's an all-girls camp, and I'm 19, so the oldest girls are probably 14, 15 years old. The male staff was responsible for serving meals. And this group of girls comes over to my table afterwards because the guys all sat together after we helped serve the meals. And that was like one of the other duties that I didn't know I was going to have to do. I thought I was just going to teach tennis there, but I had to do all kinds of other crap. Mm-hmm. But whatever. I will say the owner of the camp did it too. So you couldn't really say I couldn't do it because he had his hands in it and he was doing it too.
It's a good leader though.
Yeah, it is. So the group of girls comes over to the table and they ask me if they can have my cantaloupe rind. And they said they wanted to feed the horses. So they took the rind off the plate. They walk away. And a few seconds later, I hear this screech where they're, oh my God. You just hear one of the girls took it and ran her tongue across it and said, I just tongue kissed Les. And at that point,
not good.
At that point, I was like, okay, now I get what this guy was talking about. I was like, okay, at this point, now I get it. I'm not going to sit here and have somebody who knows me, listen to this and be like, that guy's no saint. Right. I was still, I was still a college kid. It wasn't like you never bent any rule. I had boundaries. Exactly. You had boundaries. You had to have some common sense. And some people just don't have the common sense to say, okay, you know what? You can do this. You can't do this.
And now, so if there's a parent next week that comes up to you and says, hey, Les, I want you to start teaching my kid.
Right.
I want them to maybe be D1 at some point, blah, blah, blah.
First thing they do is he'd say, you have to go on the wait list.
Yeah, that's damn sure. How many sweatshirts and shirts do you own now that are college-based?
100.
Easily. Yeah, I know. I believe it. I believe it.
Like, you're getting some kids into college.
Right.
You're having some success with that. But all of a sudden, more parents are coming up to you. Like, what point did you realize, I think this is my thing? I mean, I'm gonna really, I'm having success here, and this is what I'm gonna be known for. So
once I realized, and I was working under a guy who had a really good reputation for that when I first started working. And again, I'm young and don't know any better. And at the time, I'm probably 23 years old, and he's got all these great players. And I'm thinking, man, he's got all these great players and he hardly even hits. I could kill him in a set if we went out there and played. Mm-hmm. They're not paying, they're not paying you to beat the kid. They're paying you to teach the kid how to beat other people. I realized, okay, I'm not going to get the top tier player. So I'm going to have to develop them myself. So I started taking the kids because I used to do, what is now Rogi. We didn't call it that back then, but I used to do all the beginner clinics and I used to do all the, the after school stuff where the kids are just getting started. And so, I took those kids who were 5, 6 years old and I'm 22, 23 years old. And by the time those kids were 10, my 10 and 11-year-olds are now highly ranked, sectional players and starting to make nationals. And I'm 27, 28 years old. So the initial kids, I developed myself.
Well, I think they also, I know, a lot of younger coaches, you're going to do red ball, right? Orange ball.
They look at it as a demotion.
It's a demotion. It's like, right. I'm not a good coach.
Right.
And it's like,
no, you're not, because you're not a good coach.
But what you did, which is what good coaches do, is okay. This is an opportunity.
Of course,
it's I get the first look at these kids because I can tell the kids that have some hand-eye coordination. The kids that they're going to struggle a little bit more. I'm going to take that kid with it's got good hand-eye coordination,
good feet.
Good feet. Talk to the parents, and start training them, start developing them, and that's what you did there. Is you had an opportunity, you saw it, and you took advantage.
It's so full circle that you got to a club, 22, 23, saw that there was a head pro that everybody wanted. It's like, I want my kid to be there. I want this, less, I want that. Now you're that pro. You are that pro. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And another coach, hopefully with the same brain as you or similar thinking mindset, I should say, is gonna see you working and say, okay, his path to success or his path to getting all these clients consistently and successfully, right, with the amount of kids you got to get a scholarship and so forth. And they're going to try and emulate what you did, right, with the same tactics, which I think is very interesting. Now,
if they're smart. The one thing I was smart enough to say, what is that guy doing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm going to take a little bit of that and I'm going to use that. And okay, what else is he? What? Okay, then I add my own thing to it. And again, I still feel like, you know what? Somebody wants my spot, you know, and I'm not going to make it easy for them to get it. And while I can still physically get out there and do it, you're going to have to outwork me.
You also coach Michael Zhang, who made it to the Wimbledon Junior Finals, right?
Yep, I was one of his coaches. He doesn't come in very often, but he comes in occasionally if he wants to work on something specific, you know. It's one of those things where I say I was a part of it. You know, some places like to claim it as if they did all of it. I said I didn't do all of it, but I had a hand in it.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, now you know. That's how you get ahead. That's a good way to start. Or as a young coach, just a little nuggets you gave. They were really, really, I think, helpful.
I hope you were taking notes.
I was mentally taking notes there. Here at Coach Approach, we do a little trivia. So I'm going to give you 4 questions.
Uh-oh.
And let's see how you do. True or false? Terry Crews is an alumni from Western Michigan University.
True. He's a friend, too.
No way.
Yeah. Now, when I say he's a friend, he's not somebody I pick up on the phone and talk to regularly. We went to church together. We went to school together. We rode the bus together. He's somebody that if I were to see on the street, one of my best friends growing up, his older brother is one of Terry Crews's best friends.
No way.
Yeah. So I actually know Terry. His parents are
Did you tell him this beforehand or no?
I did not know.
Yeah.
Crazy.
No, he's a big action hero. But I remember Terry Crews from when we were kids. We went to church together.
This one's not true or false. Can you name the only brother-sister duo to both be #1 in the world in the singles?
Brother and sister.
Yeah. So they were both #1 in the world at some point.
Let me see. But I guess it wouldn't be Everett.
They're from Russian descent.
Oh.
Safin.
Murat Safin and Safina.
I got it too. We said at the same time. I'm trying to think too.
You got it. There we go. All right, and then last one. This one's a fun one, I think.
That's a guy that had some talent that really
partied too much.
Unfortunately, yeah. I wonder if he looks back in his career and says, "Man, if I just focus." Yeah, probably not.
Probably
he
not.
could give a shit. Yeah.
You also got to think about the fact that he won 2 Grand Slams in the hometown of his competitor. So think about that. He won the Australian Open against Leighton Hewitt, an Australian, and he won the U.S. Open against Pete Sampras.
Yeah, I was just going to say, when I saw that final, I remember that final against Sampras, and Sampras was dominating like that. I mean, in that time. I'm going, Safin's the guy.
He just served lights out that day, man.
I was like, if this guy plays like this, who's better? Like, I thought Sampras was unbeatable. This guy, forget it.
Yeah, he was out the night before the matches. He was kind of like Marcelo Rios in that regard, man. Mm-hmm. You know?
With that said, can you name 2 male players that won a Grand Slam while saving match point during their tournament run?
Becker.
Yes. Yes, against Derek Rostanya. Look at that, dude. This is
There's one more. You get it?
Djokovic did.
Yes. He did it against
Federer at Wimbledon.
Yes. Hope you guys learned something. This has been Coach Approach. Les Smith, thank you so much for stopping by and giving us some words of wisdom. That was
great job,
awesome. It was great to pick your brain and hear everything you had to say. That was really fun. So till next time, this has been Coach Approach.